the Viking Youth Power Hour, episode 43, the anniversary show, wherein our heroes attempt to drink themselves into coherence and fail miserably. The Viking Youth Power Hour begins now.
We are the Viking Youth. We are the Viking Youth.
I'm a Skyman myself.
The Viking Youth.
Buck me up.
You live in interesting times. Quit dreaming like a pussy.
Listeners out there, get yourself a drink tonight. We are drinking to the Vikings. 1 year of Viking Youth Power Hour.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yep.
Oh, that was nice.
Oh,
Welcome, fans,
Being
friends,
recovering
foes,
alcoholic, never been so much
and
fun.
whatever else there may be. I'm your noble host, Gatsby.
fuck you, Gatsby.
Matt just recently went to New York, and now he thinks he's better than everybody.
I like how that's immediately the way in which Jason Jason likes to classify a man's vacation. You know?
Well, it's a fair summary.
You do have a pencil-thin mustache now.
It's not a pencil-thin mustache. It's gonna roll around. I bought mustache wax, or will be buying very shortly mustache wax. I found a location that sells mustache wax. Soon, I will be the Raleigh Fingers of the West Side.
Did you have to get that at Woolworths? Where do you go for that?
Sally Beauty Supply. Called him today. I said, "Ma'am, I will be seeing you very soon. Thank you."
You can also get mustache wax in Walgreens. They have a fabulous selection of right by the Murray's Afro.
Really?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Whoa, okay. Easy.
I'll share with the class. I'll share with the class.
I'm surprised that mustache wax is that readily available. I didn't anticipate that.
Well, I bought some of that talc.
Talc. I love talc.
It's the kind that Rebecca
green
used when she
pin out?
Right, yeah,
P-I-N-A-U-D-S?
yes, sir. Pinot.
That's the old shit, man. That's the old shit. We were doing that hell before we had a name for it.
So now after I shave, I put on with a brush some of that talc.
Oh,
Have you seen that Lectra?
I also dust my
Lectra
balls in the
shave?
summer.
Don't do that, dude. Mark talked me into that. Like, talked me up and down when we were living down in Carbondale.
Yeah, Gold Bond.
I finally put that shit on. I finally caved in and put it on.
Oh, it's
Dude,
great.
I got the worst rash of my life.
Really?
Oh, my God.
I used to do it every
On
day.
Gold
every
Bond?
morning.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Dude, the menthol just fucking...
That is a fine howdy do in the morning.
It will wake you up, man. It'll tell the twins, boy, howdy.
Yeah, it's like an ocean breeze.
Well, you put on
Yeah,
you'd
you
use
know?
the extra strength, the green bottle, and you
Oh,
just smack
yeah.
a handful of that on there.
It's a shot of espresso for your nuts.
Oh my god!
You would have to mention espresso, wouldn't you, Mr. Culture?
Oh, Gatsby.
Maxwell House for me. I'll take a Roadhouse coffee.
I will not deem such criticisms within my realm.
Fag.
So when we started this show, I didn't smoke. I didn't drink.
What?
Yeah. And now I'm a mess.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a misrepresentation.
No, I've seen
You
it.
guys fucking destroyed
He
me.
was just a good guy from the suburbs, you know?
It's so true. He'd never heard of
I just
Satan.
wanted to make a web page.
He had a mortgage, a house, 3 little kids running in the backyard. The 3 little kids, they now live in Tijuana. Their mother, who works in a strip club.
Which she
They're
always
hard
did.
workers, though.
They are hard workers. They've got that noble German work ethic.
They send him $25 a month. It's a pretty sweet thing. It's pretty sweet. It's not much, but it's pretty
We
much
use it
there.
to buy the beer for the show.
That's what our beer was paid for with sweatshop money.
Thank God for Maquiladores. Anyway, thank you, folks. Thank you for listening for a year, or if you're just coming to us, listen to the old shows, and then we thank you.
You'll know
Well,
what
they can skip the old shows. We go forward.
There we go forward.
2006.
2006, but let us not forget the year that was.
So what were your guys? Did you guys have? Did you guys do any resolutions?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
2006.
yeah, and I blew them all.
All right. What'd you blow exactly?
About a 1.4, 1.5. Yeah.
I bought a cigarette holder in the village, and I decided. I decided
Oh, shit.
this cigarette holder is less Thompson and more Gatsby.
Pretty soon he's gonna fucking start singing Gershwin and doing like some faggot Broadway dance.
Oh, I got bitched after singing Gershwin in New York.
Yeah?
Yeah, I started singing, what is it, Gershwin, New York, New York? Is that shit?
Wow.
Is that
Wow.
New York, New York?
That is a misinterpretation of Gershwin's.
What's that Gershwin song at the beginning of Manhattan and that
Rhapsody in Blue?
Rhapsody in Blue.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Also known as the United Airlines theme song.
Yes.
Really?
Better known as the United Airlines theme song. You know, I bought a cocaine bumper in the Village. Does that make me Gatsby?
That's a snuff bumper.
Gatsby's more a state of mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, then I'm already there.
Yeah, there you go.
You went to the Village, huh, too? Oh,
Well-
Mr. Culture Brothers over here. Culture friends.
I also bought some Rush in the Village.
Look at how intimidated he is by our.
Why don't you guys just wear scarves?
I got a scarf.
My wife made
Why don't you guys stay warm?
AJ made me a beautiful scarf. What's wrong with the scarf?
I don't know.
You got from the scarves, huh?
Let's talk about how this whole nonsense started. You want to talk about that?
Oh.
Yeah, how did this start?
It started on New Year's
New Year's
last year at our good friend Mark Ludeman's house. I have very little memory of it. There was certain things involved that would impair one's memory, thought,
Yes.
action, etc.
Indeed.
But
But I-
accelerated at a
Champagne.
high level.
Or accelerated to such fast
It's
levels
good for
that I can't.
spitballing.
But I was called up a few days later and said that I had agreed to something called a podcast. And I, of course, said, sure, we can do it in my kitchen.
As long as there was summer sausage.
Yeah, so when we began, we were all about snacks. It was all about, I tried to set it up like what I imagined to be like a bunch of like old Frenchmen sitting around drinking and, talking.
It
So
quickly
we had,
degenerated into a
except
bunch of young fat Americans.
That's what happens when you switch out wine for bourbon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But though I do miss the sausage and the crackers and the cheese.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, summer's coming. As is its
Hey,
sausage.
the taco dip was a throwback to the early show.
Sure,
So
we
that
brought
was-
it
Right,
Yeah.
I got some taco dip now.
Yeah.
But now we're in my kitchen. And my kitchen is just
We've
not...
come so far.
Yeah.
We've gone from Logan Square to Humboldt Park.
It's at least a good mile walk.
To the east side.
So here we are, 1 year later, the Viking Youth, and I think we've done some good things. We've done some interesting shows.
We've talked to some interesting people.
We've talked to
talked to
interesting
great
people,
people.
and our technological capabilities have risen
We've gone from
and
from like
fallen at times, but certainly risen from those early shows in which
well,
we
the
were,
first show was
yeah.
Right.
my laptop and
Yeah.
basically just
No
sat in the middle of
microphones.
Matt's kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internal mic on an Apple PowerBook.
Yep.
Since then, we've spent at least $400.
Hundreds of dollars.
At least.
Hundreds of dollars have been spent for sure. We've also learned that our name is also the namesake of a certain National Socialist organization.
We should talk about that. Let's talk
wait.
about like what was the origin of the Viking.
Okay.
Oh yeah, where does that come
The
from?
origin.
I know
Okay,
exactly where that comes from.
here you go. This is the origin of our name.
A sordid evening in and of itself.
Yeah.
Indeed, where you had to smoke outside, it was like being in New York.
Oh, okay. You know, this.
The host telling me, yeah, tobacco is really not a winter drug. Yeah, tell me about it. I'm freezing my ass off out here.
The show actually has its origins, like even further back beyond this. Like we threw a party as a protest, the Love and War Party.
Love and War Party.
All right.
that we threw that had in one room was the war room. We had tanks and camouflage, and
And like dark drum
Real
and bass
dirty, like
and
drum
like
and
dirty
bass.
techno and like
in the other room we had the love room that was all the smooth house,
Fluffy, pillowy
a
shit.
lot of red a lot of material. A lot of material.
Girls
draped.
handled that room.
Derek Johnson spun there, I believe. Is that his name?
Elvin played.
Elvin did play an acoustic set, and then we took the money. Well, and then that morning afterwards, we stayed up and went to the protest.
Which
This
was
was
great.
This was pre-shock and awe.
Yeah, this was pre-shock and awe. This was
The war hadn't started yet.
we went.
Shekinah.
There was a giant protest in Chicago up in the Devon neighborhood, like Little India, I guess they call it, right? Where it's like where most like a lot of Indians, Pakistanis, and Middle Easterners. It's like their neighborhood.
all of us.
By the way, that neighborhood is like a microcosm of how the world should work.
Yes.
It's like Jewish delis next to like Pakistani, restaurants.
It's amazing because
Indian restaurants and Islamic centers and whatnot.
You've got Pakistans, Hindus, Pakistanis, or like
Muslims.
Pakistani
Muslims and Hindus
Muslims,
living next to
Hindus,
each
and
other,
Jews living next to each other. I think it's because like they all live next to each other in the areas where they fight, so they actually feel more comfortable around one another. Because well, at least I know this guy.
A lot better than those crazy fucks out in Schaumburg, I'll tell you what.
You've seen that mole? Jesus Christ! You can't even get a lock out there.
God damn, Americans
You tried to find a whitefish in the suburbs? Outside of Skokie, you got nothing.
My wife can't get a decent sorry anywhere.
So we made a lot of money off that party.
Yeah, it's a great party.
We made a lot of money off that party.
And we also learned that if you're in a wild van careening about the city and you pull into a gas station and a gentleman jumps out in a Teletubby outfit, it's amazing the amount of children that will come and ask him for drugs. One of the funniest things I remember is hiding in the back of the van, hoping not to get arrested, seeing Brian have a discussion with some young thug about where he could get whatever he had. And Brian, with his Teletubby suit half falling off, his ears astray, was of course,
asking
more
the
than
same
willing
question.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You tell me.
You owe me a coat, buddy.
We go to the protest. Brian is in this red Teletubby costume, and I mean, Brian's a 250-pound man.
And I've been protesting all night.
What a lovely way of putting it.
Well, and we go to the protest, and I just noticed that, particularly Brian's enthusiasm, reached fever pitch so much that all these people had these signs, like no blood for oil, like
The
yada,
skeleton
yada.
people.
He had I think it was like a broken down 12-pack box. It didn't have anything written on it. He was just shaking it furiously because he wanted something to shake.
And that was the thing about that protest. It's it was so retro. It was like they had no new cheers or anything. It was like, hey, what do we say? We hate war, etc., etc. There was nothing fresh, nothing new. It was like revisiting, protests of yesterday. A bunch of people saying, "Oh, remember how great it was back when we actually mattered and had a voice."
Yeah, and I actually got the master. I actually got told there was a crew of people in skeleton costumes that were gonna have some morose protest. Told to get out of the way. I was having too much fun. I was selling up the direness of the situation.
What we needed was big signs that said shinier badges for police now,
right?
Things like that. We demand better meatloaf.
Oh, that is true.
So we made a lot of money off this protest party, and what we decided to do with that
is
money,
wonderful. We made so much money off the war effort.
Which we decided to do was buy I don't know. That's okay, right? Take a nitrous and and some other accelerants, and have a party for our friends. Just kind of thank them for what they do. Thank them for being the peaceful, people that they are, and making the world a better place. Over the course of that evening, I having a combination of inspiration aids,
terror,
and
terror figured heavily.
Basically, everything was going okay. Everything was going smooth. Everything was mellow, and then I basically got plunged into the infinite. Got crippled by paranoia, which is a pretty much hourly, minutely thing for me. But I got plunged into paranoia,
a long way around things, huh?
very seriously, and so I basically commandeered a closet from a stranger
in a Viking hat.
Here's the deal. I commandeered this closet and made it my own sovereign nation.
That's so funny.
Inside of the closet, see the guy who owns the closet, which I later befriended, but his girlfriend at the time made hats.
and this closet was filled with a bunch of fucking hats. And what was kind of shining down upon me was this plush Viking hat that was made out of like cloth and it was like fluffy, but it had the big horns and everything. And then when I put that on, and of course this is all very, very patchy because I don't really remember much, but the Viking archetype really basically kind of possessed me. And when I went out and I was like making all these fucking like, you know, hardcore, I was going on these tirades, like making all these laws.
And
making all
meanwhile,
these embargoes.
Thomas Shade is doing like a terror negotiation to get him out of the closet.
Right.
This is a crowded party, too. Like, the room that the closet he's in had a good 10, 15 people in it.
I was going to ask you if that's the party where I stood in the doorway and...
Yeah. Well, you were like George Bush and I was like Saddam Hussein.
I was basing my speech on Cheney, actually. It was, I tried to get you out of there. And,
We're gonna blow you out.
well, but I also used some words that made the other people in the room feel like he was a threat to not just me but everybody.
I knew there was some like psychological warfare. I knew it was a big psyop. It still is.
It was. Oh, you ain't kidding, buddy.
I just remember Jason running into the room where I was, all gacked out on nitrous, hearing the entire world go womp 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 womp, getting down on his knees and say, "Okay, people, everybody, just sit down and relax because we're gonna pray to my God right now. Okay, we're gonna pray to the God who made bacon okay, because I need some help here."
Yeah. Well, anyway, the whole Viking Youth namesake basically came about when our friend Mark, who was wearing his giant cargo pants and had a big fucking balloon in his hand, 2 whiskey bottles in his cargo pockets like a gunslinger. And he's got this giant fucking balloon, like it's the size of a beach ball, with a bottle in one hand. He grabs my Viking hat, which was like appalling to me at that point. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're like taking my power." And he's like, "Let me see this." And he grabs it and he does this weird. He takes the balloon, puts it up to his mouth, and he does this
His
weird.
eyes start to roll back.
Yeah, he did like this weird fucking dance with his eyes rolled completely back and like doing like some weird. This had this like really creepy smile on, and it was almost like, like he froze in time. And I saw him as a picture, and over like my field of vision, scrawled in really shitty handwriting, was Viking Youth. And I was like, and I said that to Mark. I was like, "Mark, you look like a comic book. You're Viking Youth." And that was basically our namesake,
Then what?
And then
2
fast
years
forward
later?
a year and a half
Yeah,
later, New Year's Eve.
Yes, and we were talking about, well, everybody that we all know and love and, bicker with.
And Wade.
yeah. And
So Ad can't stand.
anyway, we had struck up a conversation about maybe archiving some of the shit that people say when they're in intoxicated states, because it's better than any. Like when it's good, it's better than any movie that I've ever heard. It's better than any radio show I've ever heard.
Don't wait till they come down from the mountain. Get them while they're on there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, get it while it's hot. There's gems in the rough, and you got to catch them. And that was, and Brian mentioned that that's what his resolution was for that year. Last year was to archive. He wanted to archive everything. Yeah. And that was basically that was the birth of the Viking Youth, the whole idea.
Well, congratulations on a successful resolution, Brian.
Yes, nice salute.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I had no idea it was that involved. I was just a guy downstairs screaming at some girl about how, "Hey, I know you're a lesbian, but if you weren't, you'd be for me, right? So can we just assume that you're like if you're not a lesbian, my lover?" And she went for it. That was all I was into.
I don't
Next
know,
thing
dude.
I
She
know, I'm
looked
in a
pretty
podcast.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Was she?
Easy
Really?
Gatsby.
Really? I made her uncomfortable. I had no idea. Well, I guess I want to ask her out to West Egg.
The icy shores of Lake Michigan. Viking you, Viking you, Viking you, Viking, Viking, Viking you, Viking, Viking you.
Viking Youth Power Hour. We put the cunt back in country western.
4 more years.
4 more years.
4 more years.
Good Lord.
4 more years.
It hurts. It hurts. It hurts to be creative.
Oh, yeah.
Bah, bah.
Oh, I see extreme drunkenness in my future.
Oh,
So let's talk 2005. Thomas Shade here. Back after a long hike.
Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Shade.
Rap about back in the day.
I like to sit in with you.
Yeah, we love to have you.
Yeah, we missed you.
I like to be here. No,
Yeah,
but I don't
you've
like
been
to be
gone
here
for way
too
too
much.
long.
I prefer being a fan, but I like being a participant. I wanted to segue into the NewCity story, which you tell me we can talk about.
Certainly. Yeah.
It's not you.
My journalistic reputation has been thrashed already.
We're finally giving up the ghost to the listeners here about the NewCity story.
So you guys are on the cover of the NewCity. NewCity, by the way, is this subpar.
It's the hottest rag in Chicago.
No, it's a
the hottest
terrible.
hack rag?
It's a terrible paper. I can't imagine how they stay in business.
Only the red eye is worse.
Because they're all advertisements, dude.
No, the red eye is better.
No,
the red eye
it's
just,
not.
The red eye just carries AP.
Damn your eyes. The red eye is nowhere near as good.
Yes,
dude.
the red eye only carries AP, but NewCity, I can't. They don't carry anything. They just carry
They
a
don't have
listing.
any. There's no
they
stories.
carry a listing, and then they get some guy to write a thing. But anyway, they're wildly popular, and they look good on the cover. They always look good. They have a nice cover. The
Right.
insides are not so nice, in my opinion.
Usually have some trashy girl, some poorly
well,
shot photograph.
Yes,
Nice.
And usually not nearly hot enough.
No, not at all.
true that.
No, you see 10 hotter girls on the bus on your way to work.
But
1,000 guys.
regardless of all that, it's the NewCity is everywhere. The NewCity still remains like a big Chicago paper.
Definitely.
So
Well, it gets a wide circulation.
So Brian here, the architect, the guy who started this podcast, and I don't know, you have to help me out here.
Previous suburban sober homemaker.
So you contact the NewCity about this hot thing called podcasting.
Wait. Didn't you contact someone else first?
Contacted a lot of people.
Yes,
Yeah.
No way.
but you
gotta do.
you get through at NewCity, and they say, "Yeah, that sounds great, buddy. Just write it up."
Can you build on that?
Right. So you pretty much wrote a cover story for the NewCity.
Yeah.
As Brian Buckner.
Yes.
And you're writing about this thing that you've created.
Well, that's not well.
Well, this is what
That's certainly not how it was sold.
No.
It was pitched as, I'm this enthusiast,
Right.
seeing
Right.
this great new trend that's peaking up in the on the front edges of
You've got
society.
Which is not a lie.
No, this was before
that's
anybody had really heard a podcast
It's true.
at all.
We
definitely are.
We scooped the fucking Tribune, the
Yes.
fucking Sun Times,
even Wired
I agree.
magazine.
Why aren't those
All
fuckers
that
interviewing us, by the way?
I agree.
Fuck 'em.
I'm not. There's no debate in
It's
that.
all politics. It's politics.
The point I was making that you are the guy who wrote the article, and are also the guy who is the head of the thing that's the cover story is about. Your own photograph, and this I love this. Your photograph is on the cover
next to my byline.
next to your byline, but you're listed as Thomas Shea.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's right.
I love it. Then at some point,
Who is this Thomas Shea?
somebody found out about it.
Somebody found out. No, the editor of the fucking magazine emailed me like the night before we're about to go to press.
Yes.
I'm like sweating. I thought, oh, that's sweet. I get an email like the night before we go to
Yes.
press, and it's like Brian Hagelke, I think is the guy's name. He emails me. He's like, "Are you in any way involved with the Viking Youth?"
Are you the guy that started?
So listeners, it may not be clear because you may not have seen the article, but the article is all about us. It's all about the Viking Youth Power Hour. And
That's not totally true.
Well, no, you
actually.
talked about Madge Weinstein, and you talked about some other people, and Adam Curry, and like you told the history of podcasting. But
It was a great article. It was a great article.
Ken Weeks and there's a lot of great and what's his name? Theory of Everything. Benjamin Walker.
Ben Walker, yeah.
There's a lot of great podcasters in that article.
Absolutely. But
it's a great article.
But the main podcasting group, the main podcasting group you use to expound about what podcasting is like is the Viking Youth Power Hour.
Because we're by far the most interesting.
Yeah, well, by far. Except maybe Benjamin Walker's is pretty good.
He's awesome.
But as you were saying, Mr. Thomas Shea,
And the way that we got ratted out was because in my enthusiasm to get us into whatever pocket that we could, I put us into some fucking I don't know, some raffle by subscribing to podcasting. I think it was Podcasting News at that time, which it's actually developed into being. I mean, it's amazing that the time lapse of the age that we're in. In this year, shit that's gone from being some fucking hack bullshit forum that I sent off to promote our hack bullshit. They did the way they got people to subscribe to their forum was you could win an iPod, mini or an iPod whatever shuffle. And so I was like, oh fuck it, that's great. Maybe we'll get some listeners out of it. So and we wound up winning the iPod shuffle. But when apparently Brian Hagelke, I would assume Googled my name the night before we went to press. Top of the list comes Brian Buckman of the Viking.
That means you're dealing with a top-notch publication.
Sure.
That's journalism at its best.
He's willing to dig the extra mile.
Night before the presses start rolling, let me just Google this guy. Well, what do you know? He started the thing he's praising in this article.
But the way I played it off was that, well, we're more of a collective, and every once in a while I'll sit in and chime in here or there.
When really you're the Karl Rove of the
Viking. That's genius. That's genius.
Yeah.
You are the Karl Rove of podcasting.
That actually makes my bones burn.
There's a lot to be said for Karl Rove's capability of getting his message out.
Right? That guy
He's
is top flight.
He's got a nasty message. That iPod Shuffle, by the way, is now at home under my table covered in cat hair.
Right. It's supposed to be. It was actually one in our run with the Vikings contest by my little brother, which I'm going to take.
God, then we had to beg, borrow, and steal to get anybody to get involved. We finally had to employ one of the siblings.
I think I was over at my father's house for some holiday. I think, and I actually sat there and made my brother actually respond to the
pulled his arm behind his back.
He's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, just do it now, you dumbass. You'll win. He's like, no, I don't know.
And then I made him enter 23 times.
I made him enter 23 times. Right. You made him.
I guess it was the 23rd entry that wins. Yeah, we're into 23.
Oh yeah. For all you out there who know, a wink, 23.
We're in the major.
All hail Eris.
Yeah, I took the red pill.
This whole thing is a Jake on everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's the only thing I ever won.
Yeah.
And it
you've won the hearts and minds of hundreds.
Maybe tens of people.
So
the PK and J show, they love you.
There's actually been a lot of great. That's been the biggest boon of I think doing this is the people that have contacted us. I think the first person that contacted us was Rob Cullen.
Yeah,
and that Keats turned out to be a fucking
sure.
He's
become a good friend.
He's the satellite Viking.
Wonderful guy.
Highest esteem. Producer and director of Votergate.
Right.
Which is gonna fucking blow the doors off the administration. I think. I mean,
I sure hope so.
I may be biased. I may be enthusiastic.
Well, you are biased and
but
enthusiastic.
It's a great documentary, and it's about the Diebold conspiracy in Ohio. And Rob just turned out to be we finally met him in person. I mean, Matt and I talked to him on the phone.
Very excited about it too. It's a wonderful thing to get excited about things and to meet people who are also interested in, shaking things up and making something happen. And it's a wonderful way to get your voice out there and to come in contact with other people that just are there.
Well, I mean, we're flying a flag and seeing who salutes.
Right.
And the thing is the people that are saluting are some of the most
fucking
kick-ass
true
people
blue,
I've
dude.
ever met.
Absolutely. Our listeners, and this is you, we're talking to you right here, you are the best people on earth.
I would like to institute at this moment, for the year 2006, a Viking Youth mustache growing contest. The prize yet to be awarded.
I will lose
But,
like
I mean,
a motherfucker.
But any listener out there who desires to grow a mustache, if your mustache can beat mine by the end of 2006, then we will award you a yet-to-be-named award.
An iPod Shuffle.
An iPod Shuffle covered in cat hair. No, it'll be much greater. We'll be much bigger by then.
Perhaps a Hummer from Maddie. We'll see.
Sure.
Mustache and all.
Gatsby.
That way everybody wins.
I must warn you that I am probably about 1/10 of the way to Raleigh fingers. So get ready, kids. Don't trim your mustaches and buy mustache wax. We'd hate to see this to go out of fashion.
Maddie, your mustache is half the size of 3 other people in this room.
No, it's not true. Nobody can roll their mustache like me.
Dude, I could until I chopped my shit off. Good radio. Good radio.
Yeah. Okay, now we've hit dead space where two grown men are rolling their mustaches
Regardless,
intensely as I've ever seen a motherfucker roll a mustache.
That is the challenge to you
Holy
listeners.
shit.
Grow a mustache.
We are in the
And
wrong medium.
If there's a female out there who can grow a mustache half the size of mine, you win.
Oh,
Frida Kahlo, I'm calling you out.
Hold on.
Never mind that giant metal spike shoving
Thomas
through your
Shade,
cock.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thomas Shea.
I'd just like to say, I'd like to put it out there, and I think it's something that we should have as a goal for 2006. Many people in this room continue to enjoy the delicious properties of cigarettes.
Ah, yes.
Not me.
Well, Lottie, fucking die. I just saw you smoking it. You enjoyed a product.
You got one in your hand.
Perhaps,
For the record.
Killing yourself.
perhaps
Shade.
Philip Morris. Perhaps I don't know. But I think they've run
Somebody's
out.
gonna run with us.
They've run out of avenues.
Somebody's gonna run with it. Somebody's gonna steal us from us.
So really,
But let it be on record.
editor, note to editor. Check. Possibly to be
Cut
deleted.
here.
I'm not cutting this out.
Cut here heads. Cut here heads. So
I'm sure Philip Morris would be more than happy to have more than one person endorse him.
It's not like, oh, sorry.
Sorry. We already got to deal with the Viking Youth.
Well, Yo Brenner didn't work out, so
Sorry, soccer girls got all the cigarettes. You guys can't have any.
what I'm saying is this.
I got bigger tits than soccer girl.
Lots of people.
Boy, howdy.
Whoa. Easy.
Damn.
Not good.
Sorry.
We're trying to lure.
Coalesce the community.
We're trying to lure a new sponsor.
The soccer
When
girl's
would
a
we be able to
fan.
get Philip Morris to give us some real fucking hard, cold cash?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think
No,
we're
listen.
the image they're trying to present.
What? No.
They're after any
We're the
image.
exact thing. I mean, we're not young enough, is what I'm saying.
They've got to sit around. They've got to sit around like they produce commercials anti their product.
Yeah, why
they're
don't-
forced to. So anything they could do that
Yes.
would be like pro their product, I think those guys are lapping at the fucking
Yes.
teat, dude.
No, ladies and gentlemen, we are all wonderful people. We enjoy the
We
idea.
pay most of our taxes.
We enjoy the idea of good health. I like an Anjou pear myself. I'll tell you what else I like is a cigarette.
Here we go.
Once in the morning and once at night. It's good for you. And I think that the
It
fine
relieves
people,
hypertension.
Yeah.
Good for your T-zone.
So it's a healing,
Good for you.
cleansing herb, just as the Tohono O'odham Indians. Yeah.
we don't have to make any health claims.
No.
I'm getting
Because
an erection.
smoking is just fucking cool.
Yeah. It is. It makes you cooler.
And we're all people. We've been smoking for years. We're fine. We're very healthy. We're energetic.
And there is the punchline.
What I'm saying is,
We don't need insurance.
Never mind the fact we can't afford
No,
it.
seriously, health insurance is for pussies.
all I'm saying is we write a nice letter to Philip Morris, and then once on every show we have a little commercial of some sort for cigarettes because we're all smoking them during the show.
Sure.
We're not lying. Stop coughing. God damn it.
That's a cold. I've got a cold. In fact, I'm not even smoking right now as much as I want to. I wish I could, but I'm coughing because I've got a cold, and I love cigarettes.
Well, I think some menthols might help your chest.
Sure.
Menthols are good for cold.
Menthols crystallize the lungs, and who wouldn't trade in their lungs for crystal lungs? That's an upgrade. That is a fucking upgrade.
That shit is huge in the gay community, I hear.
Really?
Crystal
It's
lungs?
huge with my mother.
There's no conclusive proof that a menthol cigarette does anything but invigorate the lungs.
Or improve enjoyment.
Improve enjoyment,
Yes, sir.
and it's good for your T-zone. What I'm saying is, I write this
That's
letter.
the tobacco zone, right?
I write this letter, and the fine people at Philip Morris, they send us a check for, say, for 2006, $160,000.
That's nothing.
That'll cover our cigarette expenses.
It'll cover our cigarettes. Well, I want the cigarettes for free. I want that above and beyond the 160.
Can I get a T-shirt or maybe a
The 160 buys us bandwidth. It buys us a dead room, and it buys us
Company car.
a half
With the
dozen
driver.
Hookers.
a half dozen Neumann U87s, which are the finest microphones that money can buy. They're about $3,000 a piece. So we get like what, a half dozen of them. We still have plenty of money left over.
Right.
So Philip Morris.
Why do we need a half dozen microphones?
We got 6 people
Well,
here.
we got 6 people here, right? Please send us a check for $160,000.
We get a couple tanks of oxygen and maybe.
We don't always have 6 people.
We'll not only.
Oh, don't. I
just we're being greedy.
discolor
Don't stutter.
smoking with like tanks of oxygen, etc., etc.
We'll not only talk constantly about cigarettes, but we'll even produce, right, Derek? Huh?
Sure.
Produce a couple of specific
Cutting
commercials.
edge
Advertisements.
hot commercials that will reach the youth
Advertisements, as they
market.
say.
Yeah.
across
We
the
could
pond.
do this. What's the new podcasting trend with like putting the images with extreme podcasting or something like that, where you actually work the images into your podcast? We can just periodically we'll send off an image of a burning cigarette.
James Dean.
Or whatever your brand is.
yeah.
Or whatever your brand happens to be. We're happy to put your logo
And
on.
we ain't talking about sausage.
Like a couple dudes that
Jimmy
are all oiled up and buff, it's like with like there's Viking Youth Power Hour in the background. They all have like fedoras.
We'll have like Eric the Red and Rolf the Walker striding across the hinterlands with cigarettes hanging from their mouths. Godspeed, people. Godspeed.
You've been listening to the Viking Youth Power Hour. Happy anniversary, assholes. 1 year of work completely down the drain. Tonight's roundtable consisted of Alex, Brian, Matt, Jason, and until he passed out in the corner listening to Mendelssohn, Thomas Shade. Viking music by Lee Chameleon. Better luck next year, ratfuckers. Godspeed, Godspeed, Godspeed.